Willkommen zum Live-Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Life Podcast. Once again, this is your host, CJ Alton. And today we're going to be talking about a very great topic. We're going to be talking about the Black perspective, but this time we're going to be talking about it from Germany. So I was blessed to have a great guest. She is born and raised in Germany. She speaks German, but of course, she is of African descent. So she's a very special guest. She's going to be telling us about her experience and her life in Germany, her education, and so forth. So, with that, I want to introduce today my guest, Lynn. How you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here once again. I'm glad that I was able to find you. This is huge help, and I think this is really significant coming from Germany. You know, there's not too many Black folks in Europe in general. So, for you to be born and raised in Germany, you went to school there, you can really, give us your experience, and I think it'll be crucial.
Okay, so I grew up in a smaller city in Germany. So there are not many black people. It's more like in the bigger cities like Cologne, Düsseldorf, Berlin, Hamburg, there are many black people. But where I grew up, there were not many blacks. So I was always the only black person in the class since kindergarten. And yeah, you get used to it, but you always felt like an outsider because they were asking you really strange questions or treat you like you're an alien or not like you're a human being. Like I remember, like so when I was small, like some people they didn't want to touch me,
Mm,
and or they ask questions like, are there houses in Africa? Are there cars in Africa?
mm.
Or what other questions did they ask?
Yeah, s-
Yeah, like why is it white? Why is it here black? And
I get it. So, what city were you born in?
I'm born in Kiel, but I grew up in Neumünster.
Okay, say that again.
I grew up in Kiel, but nee, I born in Kiel, but I grew up in Neumünster.
Okay, because I have a terrible time with speaking German. It's not my favorite language.
Yeah, no problem.
So growing up there, I believe you said it was more of like a city more than like countryside. It's more like city, a lot of
It's
buildings.
a city, but a small city.
Okay. Okay. So it's kind of how far is it from Berlin? I'm curious.
I think 3 until 4 hours with the train.
Okay, so it's a little distance from Berlin.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. Okay,
But
so
it's close to Hamburg, just 45 minutes with the train.
okay. All right. All right. And then your family household, we talked about it and it's very unique. Can you kind of describe, your family background and who you grew up with?
I grew up with my parents. This with my parents. I have also half siblings, but I didn't really grow up with them together. And my parents are both from Ghana.
Okay, so they're both from Ghana. So they were born in Ghana,
They're
but
born in Ghana, but they met in Germany.
okay, so they migrated separately to Germany and so
Yes.
happened to find each other.
Yes, yes.
And so with that, obviously Germany being in Europe, which is a majority white continent, can you describe racism in Germany today? What your particular experience has been?
So I moved to another city. I moved to Hildesheim. It's not far away from Hanover. And there I didn't really experience racism. I
Mm,
just remember after party in Hildesheim, it was 2018 or 17. One guy was calling me with the N-word. But I think that was the first and last experience I had. But also, okay, sometimes stupid questions, or even one old woman, she told me that, oh, how long I live in Germany. I said, I'm born here. And then she said, oh, you can be lucky that you are born here. Like, I don't understand why she said it. And or many people, like since childhood, but even until now, they say, oh, you speak very good German. Of course, I'm an Afro-German. I'm born here.
Yeah.
Because okay, since 2015, many refugees came here, and they think every black person is a refugee. That's what they think.
Yeah. So they almost think like you're honored to be there, like you're privileged, like you're lucky that
Exactly.
yeah.
This other city is crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. But yeah, I experienced more racism when I was a child and teenager. Now, as an adult, not. But I think as an adult, it's sometimes more subtle. Yeah. Like maybe like the way they talk with some white people when they talk to me, I can see a little bit that they have some prejudices or stereotypes, but in general, now
Yeah,
it's more better.
I see. So there's definitely like an acceptance issue and you actually, proclaiming German, but then they're like, oh, well, you're not really German because whatever that might.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they ask also, where are you really coming from?
Mm, I see. And that's tough for you to answer because you're born and raised in Germany. That's how you identify.
Yeah, that's why, to be honest, when I was a teenager or a child, I have a little bit identity crisis. Now it's better, but still a little, still I still have. I feel like I still have a little bit identity crisis. Maybe not crisis, but sometimes I'm a little bit insecure about my identity because um, I'm not accepted from both sides, let's say like that. From the Germans, I'm not real German, but even from the Africans,
Mm,
especially Africans who are born in Africa, they don't see me as an African. They see me as a German. I think the only people who accept me like are also Afro-Germans. Yeah, I
mm,
think they can really identify with my experience and way
right.
of thinking. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think you are confident, you're intelligent enough now to know who you are. I think, I accept you as just African descent and a woman and what you say that you are. So if you tell me that you're German, then that's what I'm gonna accept you as, you know what I mean? So you have intelligent people and then you have ignorant people. So ignore the ignorant and just,
Exactly.
and keep to the intelligent people. But with that, can you describe like the German school system, like how it's set up? This episode is sponsored by the Lyfe Network, where we focus on melanin history, culture, and wellness. Please support our products that represent history, culture, and wellness. We have king and queen shirts that represent our history and the greatness that we have in our culture for thousands of years. We also have confident shirts that give a message of positivity and bring value to our self-worth. We also have Confianza shirts to represent the Hispanic and Latin community to bring together Black and Brown unity. You can find our products on 2 different platforms. 1, our website, and 2, Etsy.com. Our website, Lyfe, Lyfe network.com. You can also check out Etsy and type in the Lyfe Network. If you have any questions, we do have a number available on our website. So please feel free to contact us today with any questions. So support us today and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Okay, you have the kindergarten. It's like from 3 until 5, I think. Then primary school is from class 1 to class 4, so from 6 until 10, 4 years. And then in class 4, the teacher will give you a recommendation of which kind of school you can attend, because we have after class 4 we have basically 3 different school types. One is called Hauptschule. Hauptschule is more for the students who are not so good in school in general, who have problems to learn. And then you have the Realschule, is more like the people who are like just average, like they're not that bad in school, but also not that good. And then we have the Gymnasium, is for people who are very good in school, always have good grades. And then you also have the Gemeinschaftsschule. It's a school for people who have all the levels I just mentioned. They
Okay.
all go to this school. For example, I went to this kind of school.
All right, good, great. So, I mean, with all that, how was your overall school experience in terms of, did you experience any kind of like racism? Was that something that was common in the schools from either like teachers or students?
Yes, for sure. My school experience was not that nice, to be honest. I was always the outsider. But I would not say it's just because of my skin color, but I would say it's also because I'm a really open, extrovert person.
Okay.
And for them, it was like too much. That's how I was seeing it. Like, you know, I don't want to generalize, but basically, we African people, Black people are more like, I don't know, we're more open, we are more like extrovert, we are connected with people. And
Yeah.
like white people, or I would say German people are more like very distant. And I think that was the clash. That's
Mm.
always also the problem. And yeah, typical stupid questions. Like, what is the color of my blood?
Okay. So they were just, it sounds like the white German was just like intrigued in who you were and what you look like, and they didn't have knowledge themselves of,
No,
Africans and African descendants,
no
Afro-German.
knowledge.
Yeah.
No. And for example, I remember we watched a movie in school, like a documentary, that was an African country. And one was asking me, yeah, do you understand the language?
How interesting. Okay.
No, I mean like because it was another African country with another African language, and I think I understand the language.
I see. Okay. So they just thought, well, you're from there, so you should know all of it. You look like them.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Wow.
they make like they say like, can you speak this language?
No. Okay. So did you have like any favorite subjects? Like what was your favorite subject in school?
I loved English.
Ah, good.
English, German, music. So I'm talking about primary school, English, German, music. And then from like class 5 until class 13, I loved also English, German, and music, but also philosophy and Spanish.
And so with that, what was your least favorite subject?
In the primary school, I don't know how you call it in English. Um, we were basically learning about nature and
It's like maybe environmental science.
something like this. Like it's called in German, you call it Heimat- und Sachkunde. So like we learn about environment. It's a little bit, it's kind of like biology a little bit and
Yeah.
geography. But in primary school, I don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah, it's either environmental science or it could.
Yeah, for example, we had to learn about how bread is, how you do bread, like not how you do bread, but like where's bread coming from, the
Oh,
origin of that, or
yeah,
about the lake and water side where the plants are coming from. I was never interested in that. It wasn't my thing.
you're right. That is a mixture of like biology and environmental science.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't like it at all in primary
Yeah,
school, and
I got you. So, what about your history? What about history? Did you like history?
I had from class 11, I had history as the main subject.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So
Um,
history, to be honest, before I was 14, I was not interested in history, but when I was a teenager, I got more interested in history.
I see. Okay, and so with German history in that classroom, um, did you fall upon any type of like African history? Did they talk about African history at all?
Mm, let me remember. No, African history not. I just remembered in music class, I really remembered that class because it was so nice. We were learning about the African American history a little bit. Like we were learning about the slaves when they started doing music.
Mhm. Okay.
Like, for example, like blues music is coming from that time. And then we had to write in our own blues song. We were talking about the futures of blues music. I really enjoyed that class. It was so nice. Um, and then in English class, I think class 11 or 12, we learned also a little bit about African American history.
Okay.
But it's always like slavery, like this time, but nothing more
Yeah.
about African history we didn't learn at all. Maybe about Egyptian history, I think. Yeah, Egyptian history, class 5, 6, something like that. We had to we had to do portfolio about Egyptian history. That was cool.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. I remember we had a project week where we learned about African culture. I
Mm.
remember it was class 5 or 6. Yeah, I think that was all.
Okay. All right. But overall, you would say obviously not too much was exposed to Germans. Okay.
No,
Um
not really.
yeah, so now just getting into like the German history, what were those narratives and what did your teachers talk about during history when it comes to the history of Germany?
There was a lot. So mostly we were talking about the time with the Nazis and Hitler.
Okay.
And mm, yeah, we were talking about what happened. We had to analyze it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so especially from class 11 until 13, always talking about that topic and also after what happened after. And for example, when like Germany was united because before it was like Eastern Germany and Western Germany and okay, I think we learned until that part, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, learning about the Nazis, what was like the narrative? Was it like a good thing or was it a bad thing? Do you have supporters of the Nazis? Do you not? I mean, what did that sound like?
You mean from a teacher's perspective or from which
Yeah, let's
perspective?
say the teacher's perspective.
She was just teaching what happened, but like we were not like putting our opinion about it.
Yeah.
But I guess she was also against it.
Hmm, I see. So when it comes to, you know, Adolf Hitler and discussing what he did, just through my research, I see that there were supporters of Hitler and then there was people against him. Um, just in terms of maybe not just the class, but maybe just your discussions outside the classroom. Um, what were those stories about? And who are the supporters and who are the people against Hitler?
Funny thing is, I think 1 year ago, took a sociology class and we were analyzing why people somewhat supported the homicide of the Jewish people. We were analyzing different reasons. Some of the reasons were like because during the Hitler time, there wasn't Hitler Jugend. It was like a youth club who support Hitler. And I think when you went to the group since you are young, I think you get more indoctrination, manipulation. So you tend to support this kind of ideology. Other reasons were that they don't had any hope, and Hitler made them a lot of hope, like you can get better job and everything. Yeah, and he did very good. He know how to manipulate people. I think that's the main reason. He know how to get people to his side.
Yeah, he was that's one skill he did have was he knew how to galvanize the people. He knew how to get them pumped up and believing in the system of Germany. So
Yeah.
he from my understanding, Hitler was a socialist, and ran socialism for the most part. Does that theory still exist today? Does that system still exist today? Or is I think Germany is more in a democratic state now.
It's
Um,
democratic, yeah. It's
yeah.
based on what the majority of the people think.
Okay. So I know we had a small discussion about West and East Germany. What is that perception today of East Germany? And, do they still kind of believe in socialism? Or, is their theory different from West Germany, or is it all just kind of the same today?
I still think like the Eastern Germans are like more racist. They are more like on Hitler's side. I remember I was with a black friend. We wanted to go to Berlin, but we had to stop to in Magdeburg, the city in Eastern Germany. And we asked the man, "Okay, can we sit there?" And he was just saying no.
Hmm.
I remember that, yeah. And yeah, I don't know, like that's why I avoid to be in that area. I will not say every Eastern Germany is like this, but it's still like some Eastern Germans are very racist. Even I was talking to black people who lived there and they shared the same experience.
Okay, so there is racism still in East Germany.
Yeah, that's why you don't find many black people there.
Ah, I see. Okay, how interesting.
Many are really in Western Germany. There are many.
Okay, so you said that many are in West Germany, like black folks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the racism, is it equal to what East Germany is doing, in your opinion, or is it like less?
And you mean in Western Germany?
Yeah.
It's less, it's less.
Okay.
But still experience. And I know a guy, he was getting beaten by people and was in Western Germany. I was very surprised. I didn't expect that, but it can happen also.
Wow. Okay. I see. Okay. So, kind of getting back into the classroom a little bit, and even just your experience growing up. Did you learn about like German culture and like different like customs and just traditions? Is that something that was taught in school? Just German culture?
Mm, and not really, maybe just like we're talking about a topic and then the teacher mentions something. Yeah, okay, German is like this and this, but I don't think, not really, no. I just learned more in university because I studied intercultural communication. There we are sometimes talking about it, but in school I don't remember.
Okay. And then we kind of talked about, Black Germany a little bit, and their acceptance in Germany. Um, but can you describe just a little bit of like the political atmosphere of Black Germans? Like, is there a political party or a committee that stands with Black Germans? Is none of that? Mm,
No, it doesn't exist. But the
wow.
funny thing is, you have to match. We have the AfD in Germany, and it is a racist party, but they get more votes. And you know what? There are even black people there. I don't understand. There are black people. There's one black guy. He's in that party, and he said, "All the Africans have to leave Germany." I tell you, some black Germans are really crazy.
So it's like they call it like pamper. They try to pamper to white Germans and try to be.
Um, that is the problem with black Germans. That is the problem. They try to really like be like the Germans, and they
Yeah.
lose themselves. It's really
I-
crazy.
Is it part of perhaps the identity crisis
I
and
guess. I guess.
they don't have they don't have a sense of belonging anywhere. So it's like, well, please accept me, white Germany. I see.
Yeah.
You mentioned African American history a little bit. I was gonna ask you that, what you had learned, but it sounds like it was just about the transatlantic slave trade, like
Yeah.
for the most part.
And about the history of blues music, but it's based also on the slavery.
Yeah, that is because blues was during the Jim Crow era.
Mm,
So the Jim Crow era was basically after slavery had ended, black people were, in America so-called free, but things
mm.
were still very racist and the Ku Klux Klan was there. They came about. So that's probably what you had heard, but nothing much else, nothing about the success of African Americans, the inventions we created. Oh, yeah. I got
I just learned it, to be honest, these things I learned on internet.
right, exactly. So it's good we're in the times that we are. And then you actually mentioned Egyptian history in some projects that you did. Did you learn a lot or was that just maybe a segment, like maybe a week
It
of
was just a segment, yeah.
yeah. So it was just a short time where you guys listened out for Egyptian history. What was, do you remember that narrative? Like what they were talking about?
Um,
Not much. Maybe the pyramids?
yeah, yeah, that for sure. And also, I think how they
They
dress
dressed.
themselves.
Okay, so it wasn't much. Just
No,
I got it. So with that said, I mean, would you be interested in learning more about? African American history and African history in general? Is that something like you're interested in?
100%.
Okay. All right. And I would ask, you know, would you attend like an online course that discuss like Black culture and Black history, um,
Please.
with other African descendants, other Afro-Germans? Is that something interesting?
100%.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And then how can African Americans help Black Germans more? Like what could we do as a group of people, Black Americans? How can we help your community more?
Wow. It's a very good question. I think first we should stop the diaspora war. That's what I
Oh,
would say. Because I really hate this diaspora war. For me, it's so unnecessary. We should just stop it and just unite ourselves and learn from each other. That's what I would basically say.
okay. And you said the war, what kind of war?
Diaspora war, like diaspora war between African Americans, Caribbeans, and Africans. Like everybody think they're better than the others. For me, it's so
Uh,
unnecessary.
yeah. So trying to come on an equal plane where it's like it's not
Yes,
having to,
please.
yeah.
Yes. I don't care if you're Afro-American or I don't care at all. For me,
Yeah,
we are like, of course, we have differences, but we have a lot of things in common. You can see it with
absolutely.
our culture. So why we make all the separations? It doesn't
Right.
make any sense to me.
Exactly. I think we have more in common than us actually being different,
Thank you.
you know. So, but I understand what you're saying. I think there's a perception here in America where, and it's getting better. I think in the last 5 years it's gotten better. But for a very long time, African Americans believed, Africa is poor and I don't want to go to Africa. And they're starving there and this and that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then you have the flip side where Africans are like, oh, I don't like African Americans because they don't know who they are and they're lost. And, it's like, oh, they don't help us and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, it's from both sides. Yeah.
there's a friction there. And I guess just from my perception, just from where I'm at, I feel like oftentimes we forget or neglect our brothers and sisters in Europe. And I think oftentimes, we don't connect with them as much, So
That's true.
I do agree with you. And that's perfect. Your answer was perfect because my last question is really like asking you like, is there anything else you want to say like about like African unity and us uniting and coming together? Like, is there anything you would like to say?
I think we should also stop like the gender war. I see a gender war in the Black community a lot. It's very sad. I think like Black men and Black women should support each other instead of fighting each other. I don't know. I don't know if it's a worldwide thing in the Black community, but I guess, and it's so sad. In
Yeah.
general, we just should like unite together.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you
Because
said
I
that.
feel like because I still feel like we are always trying to disconnect each other. It's so sad.
I am glad you said that because there is a disconnect between Black men and women. At least I can speak for America. Um, and so if you feel like the same thing is going on in Germany, then
Yeah, yeah,
maybe this is around the world then. But yeah, there's definitely issues here in the Black community. It's a psychological thing that's going on. It's also very systematic. But yeah, there's issues amongst young generations of Black men and women here. So listen, with that, I really appreciate you again, Lynn, coming on here, sharing your experience, your opinions. It's very valuable for African Americans to hear your side and hear your story. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope that we can work together very soon.
I hope the same. I hope the same. I'm glad that I could share my experience.
Absolutely. All right. So with that, I appreciate you.